Pronouns, and I'm the Director of Congregational Life here at UUFNN. And I have a number of announcements that I'm really excited about. The first is Easter is next week, and there will be an egg hunt after the service for our families. If you would like to support the egg hunt, there is a basket of empty eggs in the gathering room. I invite you to take a few, fill them up with some goodies, and if you choose to fill them up with candy, please be mindful of allergies and don't put candy in that has nuts in it. And you can bring those eggs back next Sunday morning or during the week ahead of time. You can talk to me after the service if you have questions about eggs and the egg hunt. Also, if you look at the back of your order of service, you will see a QR code that connects to our survey on the qualities and responsibilities of UU leadership. As many of you know, we are in the process of getting ready to hire a new part-time minister, and this survey is the way we get to hear your voice in this process. We have about 50 respondents so far, and while that is amazing, and thank you so much to the folks who have already responded, my goal and dream is if we can get to about 125, that would be ideal. So please take the time to scan the QR code, fill it out on your phone. There will be a link in the e-news that goes out. And if you're someone thinking, Nathan, I don't know how to scan a QR code, or I would rather handwrite this, there are 25 hard copy surveys in the gathering room underneath the flyer that says UU Survey for Leadership. And if you fill out a hard copy, you can bring it back to me throughout the week if you have time, or on Sunday I'll have someone designated to collect those and deliver those to my office. And then I have two final announcements. The first is UUA General Assembly is June 18th to the 22nd. And if you wish to serve as a delegate for UUFNN, that is representing our community in the votes at the Unitarian Universalist Association's General Assembly, I encourage you to please contact Carol Sorensen at office@uufnn.org. And then finally, you might notice there's something a little different about the front. We have a beautiful new rug up here at the front underneath the pulpit, and that is the first completed project of our 2025 Legacy Fund grant projects. This rug has replaced a rug that previous rug had been here for longer than 23 years. And so we have a new beautiful green rug thanks to our Building Use Task Force and their amazing leadership. So let's give a big round of applause for a new rug, and thank you to our Building Use Task Force. And as the rest of the grants get fulfilled, you'll see new projects unfold over the coming months. So thank you to the Legacy Fund, and thank you to everyone who are making these projects possible. And with that, I'd like to invite Michelle Hamilton up for our climate note.
Thank you, Nathan. Oh, I think I got that backwards. My name is Michelle Hamilton. My pronouns are she, her, and elle. I'm a climate activist, which can be discouraging. I'd like to share a practice I use to sustain myself called active hope. And it involves 4 phases: expressing gratitude, honoring pain, seeing with new eyes, and going forth. Expressing gratitude is so easy this time of year. I mean, just look outside at the beauty that surrounds us. The birds, the warmth of the sun, the smell of spring is everywhere. The second phase of active hope is honoring pain. And this year that I realized that I do not allow myself enough time to honor the pain that I feel nearly every single day. because I am acutely aware that climate change is a ticking time bomb and that humans are not doing nearly enough to diffuse the situation. It is so easy to become cynical. Which brings me to the next phase of active hope, seeing with new eyes. When I focus on the daily losses, it's really easy to give up. But when I look beyond the day-to-day blow-by-blow, things look different. Did you know that the first US president who was concerned about climate change was Lyndon B. Johnson? Many of you were born long after he was president. In 1965, he commissioned a study to better understand the problem. Richard Nixon didn't feel that Congress was doing enough to address environmental issues. His administration put forward 19 environmental bills. And as a result, we have the National Environmental Policy Act, the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Environmental Protection Agency. In 2022, President Biden signed into law the largest climate legislation ever, which is accelerating the transition from dirty fossil fuels to clean energy. So when I take a broader perspective, I can see that we have made progress despite the current headlines. But progress is not a straight line. And that takes me to the fourth phase of active hope, going forth. The single most impactful thing that we can do for climate change right now is to protect the gains we've made. If you're curious about what I'm doing, please ask me, but what I'd like to leave you with right now is this practice called active hope, which is expressing gratitude, honoring pain, seeing with new eyes, and going forth. Thank you. And now I would like to ask Nancy Oakley to come up.
Thank you, Michelle. And for any of you who were here the other night for the movie that we saw that was sponsored by the social justice and it was wonderful. So thank you so much for bringing that to us. And my name's Nancy Oakley. I use pronouns she and her. I am the co-president with Linda Bowman of the board. And this is my best time that I've ever spent up here giving an announcement, because I have to say, we did it, you guys. Thank you so much for all of you who stepped up to pledge, for new pledgers, for those who increased their pledge, for our generous donor who provided a match. I want to thank the board because we took it on this year, and some of the board members who are here, I want to call out, and the ones who are not here as well, Linda Bowman, Philip Moore, Lily Egan, Chris Pecars, Chris Hyland, Jane Dunn, John Frank, and did I miss anybody else? Sometimes I lose it here. Okay, thank you. I want to thank the board, and I want to thank those of you who stood up here and gave your testimonies to encourage and inspire other folks to pledge. And we didn't think it was going to happen. I remember when we put this goal up, and Phillips, he's shaking his head because he's like, this will never happen, you guys. We cannot. And so thank you so much. And we can go forward now.
Now is the time to greet our neighbors. Please take a few moments to greet each other. We ask all to respect wishes of others and social distancing as preferred. Please welcome each other. I will start the singing bowl to end our friendly hellos to those around us. If you are on Zoom, you can welcome each other with a hello or make a sign to greet each other.
Welcome. My name is Chris Pecars, and my pronouns are he, his, him, and I'm glad to be serving as your worship leader today. Right off the bat, I'd like to welcome two special guests. My mom is attending our service today, along with her sister, my Aunt Kathy, who is visiting us from faraway Southern California. Feel free to embarrass them as you feel fit. This is one of those days that reminds me why I love being a Unitarian Universalist. We are in the second day of Passover, and today also happens to be Palm Sunday. If you follow either of those religious traditions, both of them, or neither of them, you're welcome here. We all share a common humanity and inspiration for living a life full of meaning and purpose, and that inspiration can be found anywhere, in any faith, or even none at all. This also happens to be one of my favorite weeks of spring, when the trees are just starting to form leaves. Everywhere there's a green haze of just emerging foliage, early flowers in bloom, and when the wind blows, it brings a hint of warmth rather than a chill that encourages you to zip up your coat. As Nathan introduced last week, this month's theme is interdependence. Normally, the emphasis on interdependence leans environmental, as in the respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are all a part. I'm going to diverge from that path today and instead focus on the dependence part of interdependence, specifically how we as individuals depend on one another, and rather than that being a burden, it is foundational to our communities and to the human experience. And now, I would like to invite Dave Bianchi up here to light our chalice, the flaming symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Today, I chose the chalice lighting words that I first heard when I joined UUFNN, words we repeated ritualistically for several years. I chose to use these words today since they emphasize a dependence on one another. If you remember them, feel free to recite them along with me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now, please rise in body or spirit and join our choir in singing hymn number 1051, We Are.
Story for all ages. 10 beautiful dresses. The importance of interdependence and dependence within our families. I would like to share a story of an example how we depend, share, and connect with our family. A wonderful balance between children and parents for support to each other. In the past years, I have been privileged to visit many islands. My son-in-law is from Trinidad, and visiting the islands became important to us as a support for him and our chance to learn about the many Caribbean islands. Today, I would like to share a story of a wonderful interaction between extended family members, parents, and children on the wonderful island of St. Martin. It was a day we planned on helping people of this island to gather together and help other islanders in need. Our group included all 4 of our children, their spouses, and my 3 grandchildren. We had gathered together on the island of St. Martin to celebrate my husband, their father and grandfather, and to deliver his ashes to the place he loved to visit. He loved the sport of running and spent many days running around and across the island. So running around the island is flat. Running across the island, which we thought we would do, walking, is up in the hills. So the island is flat with lots of hills in the middle. The whole way we were saying, why didn't he run along the beach? We gathered to support this island that had been destroyed by Hurricane Irma. The island is divided into 2 parts, one being of the Netherlands, Dutch, and the other part of the island is France, French. We were joining a group of local people who were putting together packages of food and clothing for people of both sides of the island who were still suffering from this hurricane. Although the island had mostly recovered, there were still large extended families in the mountains and countrysides that had not recovered from their losses. When we finished with this group, we were planned to go to the ocean side for the day. During the time that we were in this group, delivering food and putting food together, it really came to my mind about the children and the parents and how they were able to just kind of dance around each other. The children knew what to do at all times, and of course they acted like children at some times, but it was a really important point to see the dependence that each of them had on each other. Arriving at the ocean beach, which we were so lucky to have a sunny day, no rain or wind, a time of remembrance, food, the warm ocean water, and of course shopping along the ocean, there were many local families with their many delightful products. They were homegrown things from the gardens, toys for kids made by these wonderful people, and of course their many delightful hats and clothing, all handmade or made in local factories. And some of the families were living in the local factories because they had lost their homes to the hurricane. We enjoyed the day of supporting these local people and the wares. We noticed that we had collected many bags of items and were happy with our choices, knowing we supported the local islanders. Today I would like to share an experience of a great example of interdependency and dependence and families. We walked along the beach. We stopped at a family gathering of great-grandparents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, parents, and children. They were selling jewelry, clothing, hats, and anything you could think of. The workings between the children and the adults were in a seamless of activities with each family member, working together, including the young children, to provide care for the babies and information to help sell their wares. The dance back and forth between these family members was delightful and interesting. It portrayed that closeness of families and the sense of dependency between family members. They were dependent on each other to survive. The observation was important to me as an educator of family studies. And just that brief moment, I learned much more than I did in all of the years that I taught family studies. I really could see it before my eyes. We were quickly approached in a welcoming fashion by the children to first sell their many items. As I looked through the many colorful dresses, and I'm wearing one today, the young children showed me that blue, pink, black, yellow, red, and green would all look perfect for me, along with hats and jewelry and pieces to match. They were polite and delightful and thoughtful, looking to their extended family and parents for respectful clues to secure a sale. Therefore, with their great sales pitch, 10 beautiful dresses of all colors were purchased by me, along with the many hats and jewelry to match. I will never forget the kind, respectful, thoughtful experience of that shopping day on a faraway island. A great example that interdependence and dependence starts with family, in a dance back and forth of respect and help for each other.
And now we enter our time of prayer and meditation. I read a short story this morning about Palm Sunday, and I just wanted to share a little excerpt from it. As you probably know, Palm Sunday celebrates Jesus Christ's return to Jerusalem, and he famously rode on a donkey leading a parade of beggars, poor people, the undertrodden, and so on. It's not commonly thought of, but this procession was actually a counter-protest. For entering the city from the other side at the same time was Pontius Pilate, and he was riding a regal war horse full of pomp, battalions of Roman soldiers and all their regalia behind him. And I just can't think of a common situation like that today. So anyway, I thought that was particularly poignant. Good news is we don't have any concerns today, and the bad news is we don't have any joys to share, but such as it is. Okay, please take a moment and bring your attention into this space. Relax. Stretch out a bit if you need to. Move your shoulders. Settle into your chair. Feel your breath. In, out, in, out, in, out, whatever feels normal and natural today. Allow your breath to focus, to slow, and focus in on it. In, out, in, out, in, out. Take a moment to examine the area around you, to connect with the space you occupy. Feel the cloth of your seat, the floor beneath your feet, the temperature of the room, the music playing, the sound of my voice. Rather than closing your eyes, look around. See those around you, the walls, the ceiling. Notice the light streaming in through the windows, the view outside, the trees, the sky, whatever catches your eye. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching from home, enjoy the place you're at. Take a moment and look around again. Imagine if you're seeing it for the first time. Are there any new details you find? Something you missed? Just be in this shared space. Just be in the comfort of your home. Feel your life pulsing, your connection to place and to the world. And now, let's just take a moment to listen to the soft music and enjoy a quiet moment of contemplation. Being together in this space together is a joy. Blessings to all. I was born and raised here in Reno. For those of you who track such things, I'm a St. Mary's baby. I grew up at 1480 Helms Circle, phone number 747-1913. I still remember that phone number even 50 years later. Apparently, I was well coached on what to tell someone if I ever got lost. Helms Circle is just off of Surf Way, which meets Kings Road just 2 streets down from McCarran Boulevard. When I was living there, McCarran Boulevard didn't exist, and the last thing before the foothills and the High Sierra Desert was the fire station. That fire station is still there. It's the sort of Adobe-inspired building on the upper north corner of McCarran and Kings Row. My mother, bless her heart, had the joy of raising 3 boys. I was the youngest of 3, and at times during summer break, we became quite a handful. One technique Mom used was when we got to be too much, was to pack us a knapsack with sandwiches, sodas, always Shasta soda, and potato chips. Then she would tell us to disappear for a few hours, which meant heading out into the hills. By the way, she would also hand us the family rifle and a box of 50 Yellow Jacket 22 caliber long rifle cartridges. At this time, I was maybe 8 years old, and my older brother would be 12. If this seems reckless today, sending an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 12-year-old out into the wilderness with a 22 rifle, in the early 1970s, it all seemed perfectly normal. In fact, as an adolescent and a teen, I went through 4 firearm use and safety classes. These classes were made available through the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts, and the Y Indian Guides. The Y Indian Guides is an organization that no longer exists, and quite frankly, in reviewing their depiction of Native Americans, that program really hasn't aged very well. These classes were taught by the NRA, back when their priority was gun safety and marksmanship. Anyway, we'd hike around the desert, we'd shoot cans, we'd shoot bottles, the occasional hubcap, we'd eat our sandwiches, drink our sodas, shoot the soda cans, catch lizards, and basically romp around doing stereotypical young boy things. When I was a bit older, my middle brother and I started hiking and then backpacking into Hunter Creek Canyon, a trailhead that you can still access from the southwest edge of Reno today. My older brother by now had dropped out of the group, mostly because he was in high school and had high school things to do. A couple of years later, the 2 of us graduated to backpacking in the Desolation Wilderness area. Mom would drive us, and usually a handful of our friends, to the trailhead at Emerald Bay, and we would head up into the Granite Flats and high alpine lakes above Lake Tahoe. At the agreed upon time, 4 or 5 days later, Mom would return to Emerald Bay to pick up a stack of dirty, exhausted, and happy campers back from their adventures. I remember one trip where we came across a backcountry ranger picking up litter at a campsite. We unshouldered our packs, helped her clean up the site, and offered to pack out some of the refuse. She asked us where we were going, and we enthusiastically pulled out our topo maps and showed her the route that we were following and our plans for the next couple of days. I don't know what her reaction was to finding a pack of teens, let alone teens not only too young to drive, but too young to shave, in her wilderness area. I suppose she might have been quietly evaluating our safety and well-being, and if so, we passed. It's hard for me to imagine a ranger having the same reaction today to find 12 and 13-year-olds all alone 15 miles into the backcountry. I loved my childhood, and I'm grateful to my parents for the freedom they gave us and the sense of independence they inspired in all of their children. For almost 30 years, I continued to be an outdoors person. I loved to hike, backpack, camp, cross-country ski, snowshoe, fly fish, swim in rivers and lakes, on and on. Some of my best memories are tied to being in nature and the wilderness. As an adult, I've done a lot of the typical homeowner things. I've built 4 fences, 6 sprinkler systems, helped tear off and re-roof 2 houses, painted the insides and outsides of too many places to count, helped friends moved myself, fixed plumbing, wiring, you get the idea. And did I mention the digging? So many holes, so many rocks. I love Nevada, but put a shovel in her dirt and you'll find a rock. I've been handy my whole life, and like a lot of people, I take pride in having these kinds of skills. All of this started changing in 2006. As an autoimmune disorder attacked my organs, I moved from being able-bodied to disabled. My heart and lungs now function at about 50% of normal, so I'm quite literally half the person I was 15 years ago. The high doses of steroids that I took thankfully knocked the disease into remission, but it also gave me diabetes, which has left me with peripheral neuropathy, so I can't feel my feet and I have a poor sense of balance. I no longer hike, backpack, camp, snowshoe, or do a host of activities I do. I can carry a bag of groceries, but not a sack of concrete. Obviously, I can stand up here and talk with you. I grocery shop, do the dishes, make dinner, host a weekly game night, serve on 2 nonprofit boards, including this one, and so on. I live what medical professionals like to call a full and normal life, and I can manage the activities of daily living. But it is not the same life I used to live. While I miss the recreational things, what was hardest for me to adapt to was the change in being a handy person. 3 cardiologists and 1 general practitioner have told me not to push a lawnmower or shovel snow, and I don't climb ladders because of my sense of balance. I now have a lawn service that mows my lawn. When it snows, my wife shovels our sidewalks and driveways. In the past, either I shoveled or we shoveled together. And I have an excellent handyman to do ladder work. He always answers his phone, returns messages, shows up when he says he will, and his prices are very reasonable. In fact, he charges me nothing, and that's because he's my brother Rob. When it snows or my brother fixes a broken eave for me, I am more keenly aware that I'm less abled, that I'm dependent on others. And here we are at dependency. It took me maybe 10 years to get over being full of the sad, poor me's, feeling like I'm useless and that I'm a burden to others. I finally accepted that there are things that I can't or shouldn't do, that I'm reliant on others. But as I reflect back at the stories I've just told you, the reality is that nothing has really changed. When we were young boys, we headed off to play in the desert. We could do so because my mom packed us lunch. And when we were backpacking, we had a tent, camp stove, sleeping bags, rides to and from the trail, all things provided by my parents. And when setting up camp, someone would help you put up the tent, someone else gathered firewood, someone cooked the meals, someone did the dishes. And all of that house stuff, I rarely worked solo. When I put in sprinkler systems, I was either helping my friends or family, or they were helping me. Ditto fence building, roofing, moving, painting. Pretty much all of those jobs involved me asking someone for help, or they, in turn, asking me for my help. All of us do this kind of asking and helping every day, usually without even thinking about it. My friend Eric asked me to watch his cat Winston when he's on vacation, and I ask him to watch Turtle and Puff when I'm away. I don't know how many rides I've given to the airport, or how many times I've gotten a lift to pick up my car from the shop. We ask for help all the time. So why is it that we worry about being a burden and inconvenience to others? We all know the opposite side of the equation, that it feels good to help others, to be of service, but we resist the idea that when we need help, that we're somehow not pulling our weight. I've come to realize that exactly the opposite is true. In 1996, Hillary Clinton wrote the book, It Takes a Village. Her book was about how it takes all of society to enable children to become smart, able, resilient adults. My argument is that it takes a village to raise and sustain all of us. In some ways, this is obvious. For example, other than the state of Hawaii, we don't grow coffee in the United States. We depend on other countries to supply beans for our daily caffeine habit. Sorry, allergies. And then there are the processors that roast those beans, the boats and trains and trucks that deliver them, and the barista that serves up your latte, hopefully without butchering the name scrawled on the side of the cup. For most of the services we need in our modern society, that reliance on others is generally hidden and anonymous. But what I'm really talking about is our day-to-day constant dependence on the people we know. I've always mentioned the little things, like watching someone's pets or picking up their mails, giving rides, and some of the bigger things, building a fence or building a sprinkler system. And here at UUFNN, we do many of those same things, but sometimes bigger, more organized assistance. We set up meal trains when someone has a new baby. There are calls for dog walkers and house visits for someone who has had surgery. We have a fund set aside for emergency financial assistance, gift cards that serve as a food bank. Asking for and receiving help is a normal thing, and individual and community responds. I think that this asking is not just normal, but necessary. When you, when any of us ask family, a friend, or a neighbor for help, it is an act of community building. You are saying to that person, I need you in my life. You're important to me. Far from being a selfish or demeaning act, expressing dependence connects or reconnects us, builds upon that interdependent web of which we are all a part of. For most of my life, the illusion of being self-reliant, being independent, was essential to my self-worth. But that's what it always was, an illusion. I may feel more dependent now that I'm less abled, but in reality, the only thing that has changed is that I'm simply dependent on people in different ways, that the help I need has changed, but not the fact that I need more help than I used to. At some point, if I do need more help than I'm used to or getting today, well, I'll ask. That's what people do, and always have done. From when we lived on the Savannah right up to today, it is the foundation that supports us all. One of my favorite songs is What a Wonderful World, usually sung by Louis Armstrong. Unfortunately, I can't sing from the pulpit like Bob Alto, but the line that most resonates for me is, I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? And what they're really saying is, I love you. Now, when I ask people for help, I think to myself, what I'm really saying is, I love you. An acknowledgement of their importance and necessity in my life. Unfortunately, my analogy kind of breaks down after that. When somebody replies back, I can't help you that day, they're not actually saying, we're breaking up. It's not you, it's me. Rather, it's just that they have a Zoom meeting or a doctor appointment. To all of you out there, in this room or watching our live stream, who've helped me when I've asked, and when I look around, I see that there are quite a few of you. And for the big things and the small things you've done for me, I hope I said thank you at that time, but I'll say it again. Thank you.
As we approach this time for the offering, give what you will for the church that has meant so much to you, and for the church that has meant so much to those who came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to people you will never know. Give what you will, for you are generous people. For those of us that are physically here, we will pass the basket, and for those on Zoom, you can do your offering virtually. Just follow the steps on the slide. Here at UFNN, each month we also give folks an opportunity to share generosity by sharing with a designated nonprofit. The Share the Plate recipient for the month of April is Northern Nevada International Center. The organization fosters global understanding by engaging with Northern Nevada residents through cultural exchanges, refugee resettlements, and language access. And so now let the offering begin. join Nancy and myself to dedicate these offerings to the work of this fellowship, which is helping more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy. We dedicate these, and these are offerings.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join our choir in singing our closing hymn, number 1021, Lean on Me. Please remain standing. Please remain standing as we extinguish our chalice and for our benediction. We missed one announcement, my apologies. Pat Francis baked a cake today because we have a birthday in the house. Our very own Director of Congregational Life, Nathan Bakken. Day to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Nathan, happy birthday to you. A fitting close to our sacred time. if you're comfortable, please join hands. And if not, you can simply cross your hands over your heart. Dependence is at the heart of interdependence. It reinforces our need for each other, our shared community, our shared humanity. Ask for help when you need it and accept it with grace, for it is truly a blessing. Our worship is over. Let our service begin. Amen. Blessed be. Namaste.